So this is the IEMs by Tigerism. It's the Octave, and it's like in the $150 range, and I'm hoping for some good stuff due to the advancements in technology with IEMs. And here we are. These are pretty nice. In box, you get the IEMs as well as a bunch of different sized ear tips and a carrying case, which contains everything else basically. So a carrying pouch and your cable. That's basically it. I didn't find paperwork in my box, unless whoever had this last for the review forgot to put it in, but yeah, that's all we got right here. Right, before we get into the IEMs, let's look at the cable, which I will say looks really nice. At least this one. This one is the 4.4mm cable. They do make a 3.5mm cable for the rest of you guys who have, normal stuff. If you have the 4.4mm, you're probably an audiophile, but as it is, this is really nice. This is a really nice looking cable. Look at this build of this thing. And the braiding is also really nice. The splitter is also very nicely built, much like the jack, and it even has a metal like chin slider. So we got a really good built theme here. And we can't forget about the 2-pin connectors, which are the ones that go into the recessed bits, which I guess we'll see on the IEMs themselves, but I do wish they kind of went with that twisty metal theme like they did on everything else. I mean, look here, man, that's twisted looking, that's twisty looking, and these are just basic. That's that. At least that's how it is on the 4.4mm cable, which most of you guys won't be using. I could technically use it, but, if you're your typical gamer, you're going to want to get the version with the 3.5mm jack rather than this one, alright? Now, with all that aside, here are the Tigerism Octave IEMs themselves, and the brand name really shows on the design of this, which is kind of cool with these tiger stripes and whatnot. The body they do brag about as being made of entirely out of
metal
and whatnot, so it looks pretty good so far. It's got some contours here and there, so very simple if you think about it. The comfort we're going to talk about a little bit later because not too many crazy ergonomic stuff here. And interestingly, despite the cable having that design to go into more recessed jacks, it seems the plug here isn't that recessed, so you're able to use many other 2-pin connector cables on this, which is good. The nozzles on them are separate from the body in terms of the metal design, and they don't really screw off like some other IEMs we've been seeing lately that are tunable. But of course, you still will get grills though, so that's good to have. Alright, so after plugging the cable into the IEM itself, it doesn't look like it was really designed to fit into this IEM. They just kind of picked out a nice looking cable and packaged it with it. So that's kind of a weird decision, but I'm hoping it's because the main focus is on the IEM itself versus the cable, but this may bother some of you guys. Now, as far as comfort is concerned, I think this will fit a lot of people pretty well because of the lack of random contoury designs for comfort and ergonomics. I think that leads to less chances of random sore spots pressing on your ear from the inside, so I do find these very comfortable, and I think this will benefit most people out there, so there's less trouble with fit and whatnot and comfort, as long as you pick the right ear tips, of course. So that's also a very important thing when it comes to the seal. But as is, where I'm at now with the stock stuff, it feels really good. And also, I do like the tiger theme in the ear, so, if you're, streaming and you have, a little bit of that ear candy showing, pretty neat. So, I do like that they bothered to make the IEMs look pretty good. Now, as far as the IEM's performance in games concerning its, sound and whatnot, I think it did overall pretty well, so you can use it for most games, though I do think it's better suited for less competitive games, so more of those open-worldy kind of games. I mean, granted, it still did pretty good in, competitive kind of games that are, first-person or third-person shooter styles, where tracking feet and whatnot is very much a thing, but in, games where that's less of a thing, and it's more about just the enjoyment and immersion into the game, I think these things are more suited for that. The sound of these guys is on the warmer side. I guess kind of warm-ish. Everything feels kind of boosted, so you're gonna get a lot of bass, including bass feel, and I think that's what these things do a really good job of. The bass is intense in terms of feel, but not to the point where it feels bad. It doesn't get muddy, it's pretty clean, though it is on the smoother end of the spectrum, and while you do get a lot of bass feel in the lower regions, or that rumble to make explosions feel nice, you also get really good bass in the upper bass regions, so those punchy sounds feel real good. I will say I don't think it has the deepest extension to the lowest bass region, but it still has a pretty good one though. The mids and the highs also seem to be kind of boosted, but are kind of smooth without losing too much detail here, so these aren't analytical by any means, but this is also why it makes it a really nice, easy listening experience for music, but also why I think it does a really good job in those non-competitive game genres. While I do think these IEMs are on the smoother side, I still do think there is a good amount of detail and clarity in the mids and the highs to really bring up those little tiny sounds that you hear to just give the little sparkle like details in the game, just helping with that immersive sound. But it also helps in like more competitive games where focusing on footsteps is very important. Tracking people actually was pretty good. These are pretty accurate, though I will say in like more hot situations where there's a lot of explosions going on, the bass will sometimes be a little bit distracting from everything else. But this happens on a lot of headsets anyway, and headphones and earbuds, so that might be normal. Though I will say, due to the strength and the feel of the bass, so it might be a little bit more distracting, which is not always like a good thing, but you still need some degree of bass to track people anyway, so you know, there's ups and downsides to it. I just think for more competitive games it's a bit much, though it is very exciting. So if you're playing them like not like super hard sweat, then it's a fun experience. It's engaging. I like it. Now, tracking in mind, I guess I should talk about like soundstage and imaging, which both of which were pretty okay. I think imaging was better than okay though, but let's start with soundstage, in which case soundstage was small. It is an IM, but for an IM it is a little bit larger than average. Wasn't too large to be, you know, to be exact. I think it was a little bit more on the wide side, but it still had a decent amount of depth, so it was still a fairly round soundstage in terms of the shape, which is good. Height was just about average, which means there isn't much to work with, but it's okay, I guess. The rear did feel a little closer than usual, but that's kind of normal in IEMs, so I guess that can be forgiven. That's okay. Now, when it comes to like the precision of these guys, I think it was just okay. It was relatively accurate, but I think there just wasn't enough sound separation. There wasn't enough like airiness in between all the sounds for me to like find them to be very good for tracking in like more competitive shooters. I mean, you could, but I still think it was a bit on like the tight side, so there is that. Like, it's not bad for tracking in like more competitive games, it's just that it only did good, it didn't do great, and therefore why I think it did really great for like non-competitive stuff where it's more about immersion and having fun. Granted, I guess it would be great if you're playing these competitive games non-competitively and it's just for the excitement and for fun, and you're just, you know, not a hard sweat about it, in which case, you know, these would be great overall. It's an exciting set, they sound great, and I think the key takeaway of these guys is they have a really good feel, especially in the lower range. Everything is kind of pushed a little bit forward in all the ranges, but it still doesn't come out as like muddy or anything. And also, I guess I should mention the highs don't like screech high to the point where you get painful ear high pitchness. So those of you who are high sensitive should be relatively safe, and those of you who like a really good feel in the lower range for that excitement, you're gonna be really happy with these. Are they like bass head IEMs? Not necessarily. They get kind of close-ish, but not exactly. There's enough bass where I think anyone would really enjoy it, except for people who hate bass. But you know, that's the Tigerism. I personally think these are really good, and if for the most people out there, this is what you're probably gonna like be getting, like especially if you're going from like the Aria 2s at this point, which is like my main recommendation for a lot of people. If you're thinking of upgrading, I wouldn't even go to the Katos or anything because they're so darn close. The Tigerisms I think would be a really good upgrade if you're going more the smooth route. So you know, these are just really great for the sound, and I may be biased just because of the looks, because my favorite color is yellow and the tiger stripes look pretty sick, so I kind of want to keep them, but these are review units, so I gotta send them back. Some of you guys who follow my channel a lot may know that I use much more expensive IEMs. These are the Variations by Moondrop, and while I do like these guys, and they're very clear, they're great overall, they lack the feel that these guys have. The Tigerism Octaves just have a lot more feel in the lower registers to make things just feel more engaging and exciting. It's got more of that thump, that oomph that these guys kind of lack. Like, while these guys do have them, they present it very clearly and cleanly, it's not quite as exciting. It's relaxing, but not as exciting as these guys. And even then, while the Tigerism Octaves can be exciting, they still have the ability to be pretty relaxed and chill. Granted, you know, you will get a lot of that feel if you decide to, like, you know, really pump it up, I guess, in terms of volume. And these things get pretty loud pretty easily, so that's another good thing. Very easy to drive. Well, that's basically all I have for today for this review. I now gotta pack the Tigerism Octaves up and send them back to Apos Audio, who are the group who sent them out to me, but even though they sent it out to me, it won't affect my review in any way, shape, or form. Everything you're gonna hear here is my personal opinion. That's just kind of how I roll here. I just go unbiased and just kind of run off my own, like, well, I guess how I feel and what I think about the sound, and with, you know, my perspective in sound. And with my current experience with these guys and all the IEMs I've used, as of this current time, I can honestly say these are the best IEMs you can get under the $200 range, as far as I've heard anyway. I mean, at least for like the general populace. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.